Hello, I'm Marleen Dieleman, Professor of Family Business at IMD Business School, and I'm very happy to be here in Bangkok at Potong with Chef Pam, the fifth generation leader of this remarkable business family. What began over 120 years ago in Thailand as her family's traditional Chinese medicine business in Bangkok's Chinatown has been reimagined today as a Michelin star restaurant that earned global recognition for progressive Thai Chinese cuisine. Chef Pam was named the world's best female chef in 2025, becoming the first Thai and the first Asian woman to ever receive this title. But beyond all the awards, her story is a story of transformation, taking a deeply rooted family legacy and guiding it into a completely new chapter. In this conversation, we will talk about what it means to reinvent a multi-generational business, how to honor your heritage while making bold decisions, and what entrepreneurship looks like when family history, innovation, imagination, and personal ambition all come together. Chef Pam,
Hi.
thank you for welcoming us to Potong, which is a restaurant and your family's old pharmacy building. In fact, we are here in the family's living room.
Yes.
Can you take us back to when you first walked into this building and you imagined it as something new? What did you feel? What did you see then?
I remember that it was 2019. My mom called me and say that you want to come and look at your family building. Now it's vacant and no one is renting right now. Because even though this building belongs to the family all along, 120 years old, I never lived here and I never come up the stairs because someone rented out for so long. And when I came and visit on the first floor, it wasn't like this. It was covered with ceilings, very green walls, because they have to make the ceilings down so it gets colder with the AC. I didn't see much on the first floor. And then when I walk up second, third, fourth, and fifth, the feeling was like walking back in time. You can see history the more you walk up the stairs, especially in this room. This altar is original. And the cabinet, the windows, the colors, everything is original. For me, it felt very personal and somehow weird, but in a good way that, I'm standing where my ancestor was standing back in the days. And I feel like for me to have a restaurant of my dream, it must be here. Even though it's going to be hard, it's not a luxury area. But I think it's the best place that I can represent my cuisine here.
Yeah, your current restaurant is very closely connected to your family history, right? So your great-great-grandfather produced medicine, pharmacy products
Yes.
under the name of Bao Kun Yi Bao.
Bo. Yes. Bao Kun Ye Bo.
What made that original business last? Because it's still continuing as well, right?
The business used to be very good back in the days, the first generation, second and third. And then when the fourth generation, which is my father and my grandfather, liquid medicine start to go down because of pills and everything, more convenient. But we still want to continue doing it up until now because we just want to keep the legacy. It's not about money anymore because it doesn't make a lot of business at all, to be honest. But for me, I don't think it's easy to have a business for over 120 years old.
Yeah.
And to discontinue that by just, not making money, for me, it's just a waste. So we still, continue to do it.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. But when your guests walk in, they see jars, they see the products, the equipment from the original pharmacy. Were you inspired in your cooking to use any of those techniques or products even in your restaurant?
For sure, 100%. We use a lot of Chinese herbs in our broth and soups, but in a way that is not overpowering because Chinese herb can be very powerful as well. And we also do a lot of fermentations. We do a lot by testing, try and error by ourselves, in the kitchen. Because I think for me personally as a chef, I like to value the ancient ways of doing things. Because to understand that and to move forward and to evolve, I think means a lot,
Mm.
more meaningful.
Yeah, yeah. And your family came from Kinmen Island, which is off the Fujian coast, and came to Bangkok, and you settled here in Chinatown. Did that legacy of migration play any role for you personally or in the way that you cook?
Yes, because the migration back in the days create a sub-Thai cuisine, which is Thai Chinese. And because even though I was trained very French, very European, my cooking, culinary training, but when I came back to Thailand, I want to do a cuisine that represent my heritage, which is Thai Chinese, and somehow mix in the culinary experience that I have done around the world. So it's a mix of that too.
And let's go back to this building. It's one of the oldest buildings in Chinatown, and the architecture is Sino-Portuguese. Downstairs, you have created the Opium Bar, which is a very sophisticated bar. How did you decide what are the elements of the building to keep and what to innovate?
Our first ideas with my family and our designer is to keep as much as possible.
Mm.
And wherever or whenever you cannot keep the things that you put new, you want to kind of make a contrast of what's old. You don't want to put something new, buy something new, but make it look old. We don't want that. We want to kind of like be honest that, okay, this we are putting new and kind of make the contrast of old and new.
Oh, so you combine the old and new and contrast them
Yeah.
in order to create innovation. Wow. This shrine is also original, the
Everything
family
original.
shrine that
Yeah. Except the mirror and the curtain, but everything else is original. Even the photo in the middle.
you also kept the original logo.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain to us why and what that means, that logo?
So the medicine itself is called Bakunya Ba, but the pharmacy back in the day is called Potong, which comes from a Chinese word Potong, which means simple and ordinary. We came up with so many names for the restaurants, and almost to the end, we were like, how about we use Potong? Because it's really personal, and I think it's a good way to carry on with the legacy. And also the word Potong is somehow how it write. It's very simple with the O, and it looks nice. And I like two words, Potong. So everything is perfect. So we decided to go with Potong.
Does it have a relationship to your cooking style as well?
Yes, I like to cook something that somehow it looks simple, but not surprisingly not, but with the simplicity of highlighting the ingredients, giving the spotlight to the main ingredient.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in my work, I work a lot with Asian families and next generations. And when we talk about the legacy of these Asian families, it's often told through the perspective of the male hero, maybe the patriarch or your great-grandfather or great-great-grandfather. But I've realized through my research that the women in the family have very influential roles throughout the generations. And I saw that you were also inspired by your mom. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I think my passion of cooking started from my mom because since she has my older brother, she quit her job and become a full-time housewife. And so I have to be with her all the time, go to the market, come back home. When she prepares the meal, I have to be next to her because she have to look after us. So for me, growing up in the kitchen and seeing her cook for the family makes me feel warm
Mm.
and feel comfortable being around the stove and the knives and the cutting boards. For me, it's my almost like my comfort zone.
Mm.
So I think she's really inspired me as a cook and to become a chef. And because my dad, he works and he spoiled me, my dad. But my mom, she's the one who teach me, she's the one who disciplined me.
Mm.
And I think a lot of who I am today is because of her back then. Yes.
And in many Asian families, including business families, food is the language of love
Yes.
as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So when you transformed this business, which represented your legacy, into a restaurant, it wasn't very easy, right? There were a lot of risks.
Yes.
Can you talk us through what was so difficult about it?
I think every part of what we do to this building was difficult. First of all, investment. it needs high, we need a lot of investment. So we gather a lot of family members and close friends to, help us invest. And it was very difficult because it was the start of a pandemic. So everyone was hugging their money, right? No one wants to invest, but only us that we think that we want to do it now because by the time, hopefully back then, by the time we finished the construction, the pandemic was over. So we decided to go on with the investment, but it was really hard because I remember I sold all my golds, that I have in my saving to invest in this project. And also the construction, it was very hard because the roads are very small. Not a lot of constructors want to come and do this project because it was hard with small spaces. And, it was in the middle of very hectic road during the days. And it took us almost 2.5 years to renovate this whole building. So every step of the way, we have challenges, we have problems that we have to come in and check, everything.
So how did you convince your family that this was a good idea? Because after all, this is, a family building. Did they also invest, or how did you convince them?
Actually, we convinced each other. My parents and me and my partner, we were like, "Are we sure? Oh, we should do it." Because my parents, they love the building. They're very supportive of what I do. But the person who's worried and skeptical about this was my grandfather.
Oh,
He was like, "Oh, there's not a lot of your target customer walking past, because he believed that, a good location with a lot of footfall is very important." But for me and my parents, we believe that nowadays it's about unique destination.
yeah.
And it was true. But I convinced him that I'm going to make it happen. I promised I would keep as much as possible because he was worried about his building also, that we have to invite so many people in the building. The guests have to come in and out all the time. So he was worried about that as well.
Because in parallel, the other business, which is the pharmacy business, is also continuing, right?
Yeah.
So your family decided to do both, right?
To do both, yeah.
So your legacy has multiple, like a banyan tree almost,
Yes.
multiple roots, right? You also have very interesting philosophy about what the customers can experience because you want to share your heritage and your legacy with the people come to eat in your restaurant, right? So can you tell us a little bit about how your memories and your legacy finds its way to your customers?
Since this building is very personal to me, I want the guests to feel like they're coming into my space and my home. So to be able to do that, we cannot serve food in a normal restaurant style because the guests would be eating and then go. They won't appreciate the stories behind each dish and the stories behind the building. So what we do is, on the first floor, as you can see on the table, we have all the old containers and letters. I think that the first shot that the guests can feel somehow that this building has a history. So that was the first contact that we want the guests to feel. And when they walk up each building, there will be storytelling about the history of each floor and guiding up to the 5th floor. So along the way in the meal, we try to put in subtly in the stories of the heritage during the meal.
And then you decided to create an entirely new category of foods, which you call progressive Thai Chinese cuisine, right? Which I think is a word that you invented.
Yes.
Why progressive and why Thai Chinese cuisine?
This was as hard as naming the restaurant, to name your cuisine.
Yeah.
Because to think of a couple words that makes people understand and really captures what you're doing was really hard. But I asked myself, was it like Thai cuisine? No, it's not. Is it like Chinese? No, because when you cannot find this kind of food in China. So I mixed the word together because there is Thai Chinese cuisine in Thailand that you can see around everywhere, like the noodles, everywhere. The street food is 90% Thai Chinese cuisine, but people don't really realize it because it become parts of the Thai cuisine already. But I put the word progressive in front because what I do is not traditional in a way. It's more like innovative ways of presenting Thai Chinese cuisine. So we conclude that the word progressive Thai Chinese really represent what we do at Potong. Yeah.
So in traditional Chinese medicine, right, people are often very secretive about the formula that you use to produce the medicine. Are you also secretive about your foods in the same way, or are you more
No.
transparent?
Very transparent. I think because if you're secretive, you become stressed by thinking too much of people copying you because for me, we have our team. People comes and goes and they have to look at the recipes because they have to follow the procedures. And recipe is gonna go out anyway. So why bother being secretive? Because it's waste of your time to think of something else, right? So for me, being transparent is also as a Potong team is a tool for everyone to understand our goals and understand what we're doing on the same page, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
even created a video how to make your key dish, which is your version of pad thai, right? But are you not scared that people will copy it?
no, I think when I was younger, I was a bit secretive about, recipes, especially the cake that I find. Oh, I found this recipe, this moist cake. I was scared that people are gonna copy. But I think as you grow up as a chef, you feel like, everyone can create recipes and everyone can cook good food. But you feel like if you create something that is very unique like pad thai, I think it's great to share and to make it inspire other chefs to and other younger generation to create something of their own, because I really feel that great chef, they don't want to copy, they want to create originality of their own also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very inspired by how you combine the heritage and the innovation together. So Potong at the moment has become its own legacy already. So it's no longer an offshoot of the pharmacy business. It has its own story, right? Was there a moment where you realized that, oh, wow, this is my legacy? And when was that?
I don't feel it yet. I mean, we still have a lot of things to work on. I think we're still young as a restaurant, only 5 years old, and I think we will evolve even more in the future, and we plan to evolve as well. So for me, I think we're still working on it.
But what is it that's 100% Chef Pam about this restaurant? What's so unique that you contribute?
I think 100% Chef Pam, I think it's the building, the food, and the soul of this place. I want this place to be a restaurant that you don't feel intimidated. It's a home, and I want it to represent luxury that don't need golds and how would I put it? The luxury of this building is time, and sometimes money cannot buy it. And I think that's very important and to value something like that.
Yeah, the experience, right? Do you also foresee that this could be a family business? I know your partner is your husband,
Yeah.
or you have a daughter as well. Do you see this going forward as a new type of legacy?
100%, 100%, because we started to look at other buildings around this area because this area is so unique and charming. So we just bought another building back there. So we want to kind of expand around here, but not Potong. I mean, not expanding the restaurant Potong. We want to do something else. Like Khao San Sek, we also have another restaurant already open. And on the left here, we already opened another small bar called La Copita. So we want to create a small empire around here because this restaurant Potong, I never think of leaving at all because it belongs to my family.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What impact do you hope to make on people through your passion and your skill as a chef? How do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as a strong woman who make legacy through her heritage, and I think to be remembered as a humble chef who want to kind of revive my own heritage building and make this building a landmark of whoever travel to Thailand to come and at least see once, you know. Yeah.
I meet so many next generations of business families who have their own passion, but they might feel a little bit trapped in the history of the family business and not sure how to create their own legacy of excellence. So do you have any advice for people like that?
I think to carry on the legacy of the family doesn't mean it has to be a one-way road, you know. You can follow your passions and your dreams in whatever you do, but somehow connect with the heritage. I think it's always possible. You just have to open your eyes. I mean, think and trust your passion and work hard. I don't think there's shortcut. You just have to work hard and prove that it really can be done. Yeah.
Chef Pam, thank you very much for this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you.